this time.
Hola, hola mis amores, ¿cómo están? Grace and peace everyone. As we know, there is a time for everything under the heavens. There is a time to speak, a time to poet, a time to learn, a time to live, a time to wonder, and a time to believe. And today is a time to learn. So we will be talking about books, of course. So this is an idea that I thought of. I'm going to talk about 3 well-known shows, well-known enough, very popular shows during their time period, and I'm going to recommend books that kind of correlate. They're on kind of the same storyline as those shows. So this will hopefully help some people get back into reading. If you like the type of genre that the show was talking about, the type of backstory that it was, you will probably like these books. So without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with number 1, Dear Manny. So Dear Manny was written by Nick Stone, and on the back you can see that this is actually a trilogy. There are 2 more books ahead of this. However, you don't have to read it in order. I am a witness. I did not read these 2 books. I do recommend that you read her books, especially because her books are getting banned quickly. Okay, so get these books before they start to disappear. They may not be in your libraries. You may have to buy them online, or go to like local black owned bookstores. They'll probably have them there. I got this one from Baldwin & Co., which is a black owned bookstore and coffee shop in New Orleans. I got this from free during their literacy festival. They had a book festival in, was it April or was it March? In the springtime, and I was there. Yes, and this is a wonderful book. So like I said, Dear Martin is critically acclaimed. I have it over there. I haven't read it yet because I read this first and then I picked that one up. So there's Dear Martin, which is number 1, Dear Justice is number 2, and then Dear Manny is number 3. This one is really good, y'all. I truly recommend it. So Manny is short for Emmanuel, which is, can I tell you guys this? Okay, there will be some spoilers. Just go ahead and skip ahead. So Manny died. Manny was killed by the police. So this book really dives into police brutality. It dives into white privilege. It dives into the dynamics of race when it comes to law, when it comes to public policy, when it comes to advocacy. This is a really good book. Yeah, I honestly recommend it to everyone. Like I was telling somebody earlier, like I recommend this book specifically to those individuals who may be a part of the Caucasian majority, who may not realize the importance of race, how much race and racism, racist rules and regulations and policies play on people's lives. So this will be the book to like unpack some of that, if you will, and start your journey of being an ally, being an advocate for those people who may be from marginalized communities. Now, I have a lot to say about this book, but I want to keep this video short. I am an avid physical book reader just because I love a good sticky note. I love a good underline. I love writing in the margins. But this page specifically, I was talking about how absolutely hopeless it feels when it becomes your word against theirs. When their word is attached, no, when your word is attached to your black skin. And we did not need a white savior, but they can disrespect without consequences. Okay, so this is page 90. This is the part in the book where Dylan, the black girl in the book, has a confrontation with Morgan, who is a white female. Again, this is set in a college campus, by the way, and Dylan is accused of stealing something, I think the girl's laptop, like touching the girl's stuff, which she did not do, which she said she did not do. Nobody saw her do it. However, because she was the only black girl in the space, they assumed that it was her. Long story short, the laptop is recovered. in a place that is not where they are. So Dylan had nothing to do with it, by the way. And the girl didn't even apologize. There was no apology of the accusation. It was a baseless accusation, purely made off of race. And this stems from a lot of people presuming black people, their black skin is automatically seen as guilty. Just walk into the room, okay, you're guilty. It's always guilty before proven innocent, instead of the right that every human should be given, innocence until proven guilty. So this is what that book really talks about. And I also added that, now imagine if this was us trying to do the same thing. Even if it was warranted, we would be labeled, profiled, and maybe even killed instantly. Now what I'm talking about here when I talked about the white savior complex is Dylan really wasn't allowed, as black women most of the time, when we are expressing our anger, when we have been wronged, when we have been violated and accused and basically defamed, we are seen as the angry black woman, simply because we have stood up for ourselves in that season or in that time period. However, this white boy who she was friends with at the time, what was his name? Jared, that's the white boy on the cover, I believe. Jared expresses his anger. Honestly, he expresses his anger all the time, but he mainly expressed it with the security guard who was there as well, and they all presumed Dylan to be guilty. But he got to express himself and say this isn't right and do all this yelling and back and forth with the officers, which would not have been a right afforded to someone with black skin, even though they are the victim in this scenario. Something else that the book explores, because baby, I was going back and forth. Oh, y'all, sticky notes are my best friend. Okay, what was I talking about here, y'all? It says, see, this is the disconnect. Being black is not a costume you can just take off and sweep under the rug. It's something you face injustices about daily. Oh my god, what was I talking about? Okay, hold on. Let me read a little bit about what I'm talking about. Truth is, Jared can think about these things and choose to acknowledge them or not, because no one will look at him crazy for not doing so. But imagine having to live under the prejudices of others your entire life. It is a miracle people like Justice seem to be functioning amidst daily inequalities. So Justice was also friends with Emmanuel, the boy who was killed by the police. I think Justice was actually with him at that point. Again, a few spoilers. I believe Justice was with him. They also knew Jared because they all had went to the same high school. Jared, during his time, I believe in the other two books, because this book does a great job of catching you up from the other two books so you don't miss anything. I believe Jared was hardcore into his Republican era, if you will, his very much so MAGA era. I'm a white male, subpar, and I can get away with things and I don't have to recognize my privilege. And this book basically is him trying to unlearn that. So yeah. Something else I want to mention is, when I was talking about the costume, it's not a costume that you can take off. I think this is when Jared and his frat club basically dressed up for a Columbus Day party, but I believe they dressed up in Native American attire and took pictures. And it says, let's never bring this up again. I said privilege must be nice. People's identity, people's heritage, their culture is not a costume. That's what I'm talking. It's not a costume you can just take a picture with and then hope it doesn't come up in your retweets later. No, absolutely not. Okay, Justice says, I'm telling you, bro, being black in this world feels like a never-ending game of the floor is lava. One wrong move and you're a goner. This book is amazing, honey. I believe this is middle grade. Oh, I wrote something else about John Preston, honey. He was getting on my nerves. John Preston, honey. Ugh. He gives very much so Donald Trump. Yeah, that's who we dealing with. John Preston LaPlante the fourth. Donald Trump. Okay, that's who he's supposed to be in the book. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I'm getting. So I would read this book. Honestly, this is a middle grade book, so I would recommend it starting from maybe 10th grade. Maybe 10th grade. Y'all should be reading this in 10th grade and on up. Okay, she also has another book that has come out, her first, what is it, adult novel. Now, I've heard about it. I'm not sure if it's gonna be my cup of tea, but I'll look into it a little bit more to see if it's something I'm interested in. Let me know what you guys think of this book. I did write a review on Storygraph. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and I want to read to you guys what I thought of the book. Dear Manny by Nick Stone. Loved it. Definitely challenged me. I recommend this book to all white people who would like to become allies to marginalized groups, and also who just want to analyze their privilege. Makes me want to read her other 2 books before this one. I love how she sets the scene in college, specifically using a constitutional law class to discuss all the unconstitutional disparities faced by the American people. This will be a forever relevant book. All in all, growth is a journey and unlearning is a process. I'm happy he is acknowledging his privilege and seeking to promote justice, but at the end of the day, I won't applaud a fish for swimming. Won't. Yeah, I don't clap for white men. I really don't. However, what I'm talking about, I do acknowledge that he is trying to unlearn, and that is what I would like people to do. I would like people to come into the light. Step into the light, hon. Step into the light. Come to the knowledge of what is happening. Have your eyes opened and don't close them again. Wake up. Wake up. I won't clap for you. This is the side you should be on. This is the side of justice. And so, yeah, that was the first book. I talked about that book for a while. Now I have to tell you guys about the show. So the show that correlates with this book, I would say, is Good Trouble. Now, I didn't finish Good Trouble. I think I was like 2 seasons in, honestly, but I did watch The Fosters. Good Trouble is the spin-off of The Fosters of Callie and Mariana. They're living in this like co-ed, co-working space. The girl, Alice is the owner. She's the landlord. Jamaica, is it Jamaica or Jamila? Anyway, I loved her. I really, resonated with her and her story of trying to support BLM, going to jail, being an activist. Callie trying to be an ally, her also going to law school, what that looks like. What was the other girl's name? I don't remember her name, but she was a teacher. I remember Dennis. She was like in a relationship with Dennis, but kind of not really. I don't know. And then there was Gael. Gael was there as well. And then Callie's boyfriend. And oh yes, Mariana and the tech bro. He also had, I don't want to say autism if it's not autism. What did he have? Was it autism, y'all? Was it Asperger's? It was either autism or Asperger's. Okay, I'll put it on the screen once I look it up. But yes, so that was an interesting storyline as well. Her life at the tech company, the tech startup. This book is relevant to Good Trouble, mainly because it does follow Mariana, but it mainly follows Callie in my opinion. And her life as a lawyer, and her trying to be a paralegal. I think she's working under a lawyer at that point, and her having necessary conversations with her boyfriend, who is a registered Republican, and they have to talk about why, and basically trying to fight for justice, fight for equality as someone who is not a marginalized person. Yeah, so Jared will relate to Callie at this point. Now we're going to go to book number 2, which is early departures. Now, I read this book. Honestly, was this my favorite book? No, I think Dear Manny was my favorite book of the year, but this was a close second. I really like this book. This is by Justin A. Reynolds. He has another book, Opposite of Always, that I need to read soon. Now, what drew me to this was the cover. Once I started reading it, it was nothing like I expected. I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect what I got. I did not expect what I got, but I was pleasantly surprised. Okay, I was pleasantly surprised. Let's go to some of the things in this book. So this book follows two best friends. There's Q and Jamal. So they have a YouTube channel called Johnsy, which is both of their names put together. They have been friends since they were younger. However, when we meet them, like in the beginning chapters of the book, they have had a falling out. A falling out mainly over grief. So I would recommend this to mainly black boys who may be struggling with grief, maybe struggling with friendships, maybe struggling with self-esteem, things of this nature, all the different things that plague teenagers. Yeah, so I really don't want to give you guys any spoilers, but I kind of have to kind of explain the book. So skip ahead a little bit if you don't want any spoilers. But Q dies, okay? So while they're having their little riff or whatever, Q dies. And so Jamal has to cope with living without his best friend, but living without never saying, you know, hey, I'm sorry to his best friend. I'm sorry, we should have worked this out, we should have did this, blah, blah, blah. But there's also some kind of bionic, scientific, would it have been lab rats? It wouldn't have been lab rats. I was going to add another show to this, but no, not lab rats. The show that correlates to this is Black Lightning, in my opinion. Honorable mention here, Ironheart. Now, Ironheart, the first season, I feel like would be relevant to this book as well. If you like that show, you will also like this book. But mainly, let's just look at Black Lightning for a second. So, Black Lightning is about Pierce. Is it Pierce? Yes, Pierce, who plays Black Lightning. He has two daughters. China and McClain is one of them, and then she has a sister, and then of course his wife, and they're living together. Anywho, let's fast forward to the part that's relevant. China and McClain's friend dies. Khalil, is he shot by the police? He's shot, and he dies because I believe they were marching. They were doing a march, and then he died. Okay, so that happens. And then after that happens, Khalil is revived. You know, he comes back to life. Now a bionic person, you know, because they doing all these type of lab experiments and all this other stuff, right? So that is how this book is related. Because Q comes back to life too. He is chosen out of this special program at the hospital where his mom works as well. And he comes back to life, but only for a few days. I think he was alive, was it like 100 days? 30 days? They only gave him a few more days to live, basically. So it's him making amends with people, him making amends with Jamal. Honestly processing Q's death and his parents' death at the same time. So grief is all up and through this book. Like I said, I do recommend it to black men because that's not something we see often. Black men having open conversations about how they're going to therapy, black men hugging each other, telling their friends that they love them, you know, apologizing and taking accountability for their actions. So this book challenges the status quo in a lot of different ways. Highly recommended. So I also wrote about this book. I wrote about it on Storygraph as well, and this is what I have to say about the book. I also gave it 4 stars out of 5. This was great. From the very beginning, you are on the roller coaster ride that is black male friendships. This book explores tough. That should be tough. Oh, I gotta fix this. This book explores tough topics such as grief, pride, healing, etc. in a comedic way that provokes reflection. Grief is funny, and this book is exposing just how funny grief can be. This book is a great representation of when starving pride and mixing in a little vulnerability can ease reconciliation. I also love the character of Autumn. I loved how she wasn't just a placeholder girlfriend. Instead, she wanted the best for Jamal and challenged him, trying to build a relationship with someone who is dealing with stuff by not talking about it. Ugh. This book wants to give black men their flowers before they are gone. We need more black men who hug, go to therapy, and express themselves. I recommend this book to those looking for closure with a loved one. Black male friendships can go deeper than a love for sports and the womanizing tendencies that force introspection and accountability. If you like the show Black Lightning or Ironheart, you will like this book. Honestly, this book wasn't what I expected because I didn't read the back, but I liked it. Okay, I stand by everything that I wrote. It is actually really funny. So they both have two different sorts of humor, but Q really wants to be a comedian before he dies, so you'll see that unfold in the book as well. Yeah, I didn't really explain too much of Black Lightning. I'm just kind of supposing that you have seen it. If you want me to explain Black Lightning a little bit more, please type in the comments. So the third book I don't have physically with me because I let a friend borrow it. It's called This Side of Home. So This Side of Home explores two girls who are twin sisters. They are both black. They are living in a neighborhood that is being gentrified at the moment. So I talked about this book in my video called 5 Books That Made Me Feel Seen as a Black Woman. You should watch that video if you haven't already, but I will continue. So that book explores their different experiences. Yes, they are identical twins who are both black. However, they have different experiences and different opinions. So the book does explore one of them getting into an interracial relationship, the other one is in a monoracial relationship, and their different opinions on gentrification. One person thinks, well, this is bringing, traffic to the neighborhood, this is bringing, business and all of that. The other person can see what is happening. These people are being pushed out, they're being bought out. The resources that are there aren't being given to them, they're being given to other people who have never been in this neighborhood. So yeah, it is a wonderful book. I encourage each and every one of you guys to read it. The show that I would say pairs well with that book is Lincoln Heights. I don't know if you guys have seen Lincoln Heights, but it is on Hulu right now. That show is honestly one of my comfort shows. I watch it all the time. Russell Thornsby is the main character's father, and basically he is a police officer. His wife Jen is a nurse. They are both involved in the community, which the girls in the book, their parents were involved in the community as well. And it explores like their children as well. Cassie, who eventually does get into an interracial relationship, and just exploring what that looks like in California at that time. Also her coming from a black family and a black neighborhood that they have moved back into. The neighborhood is neglected. The neighborhood is seen as worthless, so they move back into that neighborhood and try to like revive the community there. So that is a feel-good show. I recommend it to all of you, and I also recommend that book. My camera is dying, so I will be closing now. So thank you guys so much. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. What books will you read next? What shows will you watch next, etc. So grace and peace, peace and mercy, mercy and truth to each and every one of you. And please remember to remain open-hearted, open-handed, and open-minded to both God and others. Thank you.
Good to know you're by my side, holding me up.